In 1845, disaster struck. The Irish potato crop became infected with a fungal disease called blight, which turned the potatoes to an inedible black pulp. Potatoes were a stable diet, and many farmers had almost no other crops to fall back on. The next 2 years also saw failed harvests. Unable to pay their rent, thousands were evicted, left starving and homeless. To reduce the price of bread and to feed the starving, Robert Peel ended the Corn Law. But it was too little too late. By 1850, over 1 million people had died. Coal, steam, and steel. The Industrial Revolution rapidly gained pace as engineers developed steam engines with enough power to drive their whole factories. This led to a massive increase in manufacturing in Britain and enabled the Victorians to dominate world trade. By the mid-19th century, industrial output was so high that Britain became known as the workshop of the world. The raw materials that made the Industrial Revolution possible was coal and iron. Coal fired the steam engines, and most machines were made from iron. In 1856, Henry Bessemer invented a method for converting iron into steel cheaply and in bulk. Steel is lighter, stronger, and less brittle than iron. So this meant that engineers could build bigger and better ships, bridges, buildings, and machinery than ever before. By the 1850s, more than half the world's textile goods were made in the huge mills that sprang up across the north of England and Scotland, and in the major ports, shipbuilding grew at an even greater rate. By the 1890s, over three-quarters of all the ships in the world were British built. But all this came at a price. Workers, including thousands of young children, were often expected to work for up to 12 hours a day in unhealthy and dangerous conditions. Over time, the government introduced laws enforcing a minimum age for child workers, limiting the number of hours people should work, and setting safety standards. Before the government brought in laws to protect child workers, many endured tough, dangerous jobs for very little pay. Putters hauled coal up from the mines along passages that were too narrow for adults to squeeze through. In textile factories, scavengers had to crawl inside working machines to pick up loose threads. Many got caught in the machinery and were badly injured.